Greetings everyone, and in this video I wanted to make sort of a detailed review of another tank that I have in my fish room. This tank over here, this is actually the tank that you will see once you're entering the fish room, and it has been a tank with different fish and different plants over the last several months, but that's what it currently is, and that's how it currently looks like. And again, just like with other tanks in my fish room, I didn't quite plan to scape this tank, and all of these plants and driftwood that you see in here, they've been in different other tanks, and I just kind of put them all together, and the final product is this scape. So I'll probably start with the system itself. It's a 140-liter tank, a rimless tank. It has two large sponge filters. You can't really see them because I've hidden them quite well in here and in there. So these are fairly bulky sponge filters. There is a heater in here also in the back because I'm trying to keep the temperature at about 26 degrees Celsius because of cardinal tetras. And it has an LED lamp. It's a no brand, and it's a really old LED lamp. It has a blue and white, I think, light spectre, and so very simple and very basic. There's no other equipment on this tank. I'm not dosing any CO2 in any of my fish tanks, so the plants kind of depend on those nutrients that are provided from the fish, as well as, in case of this tank, I'm adding pond fertilizer once in 2 weeks, and that's basically it when it comes to feeding plants. So let's have a closer look at the plants in here. So all of the aquatic plants that you see in here are actually mosses. There are 4 species of mosses, and the dominant one is Christmas moss. It's over here, it's right in here, and bits and pieces in this area in here as well. Up top I have some flame moss, and to be honest, I'm not entirely happy with the flame moss because, possibly because of its location, it gets covered with lots of thread algae. So you can see lots of thread algae forming on top of that crown in there. I'm regularly kind of cleaning it, but it doesn't really help because the next day I have about the same amount of thread algae. It looks natural, and it actually looks quite nice, so I don't particularly mind it, and I'm not too stressful about it, but still I would prefer not to have all this thread algae in there, but I guess that's what it is. There is also spiky moss in here. You can see it growing here and growing here. And Taiwan moss there in the back. Well, Taiwan moss doesn't look anything special, and it actually grows in a very peculiar way. I guess it requires CO2 in order to grow properly. By properly, I mean kind of a uniform structure, because now it's kind of a spread all over the place, and I constantly have to actually stick it in there, attach it back to that piece of bogwood, because otherwise it will just float around. So definitely the most beautiful species of moss, at least for me, and if you grow them without CO2, would be Christmas moss, which forms this really great looking bunches in here and over there as well. Lots of reflections, so I'm trying to find the better angles to make this video. Well, in terms of riparian plants, I have here a piece of pothos growing up there. It's just a cutting that I've taken from this larger pothos plants down there, and I've added it in here, and it's, I think, starting to send some roots down into the fish tank. And yeah, that's it in terms of plants. And in terms of fish, so this tank has temporarily our group of cardinal tetras. Eventually these cardinal tetras will go into my main display tank once I'll set it up, but for now they're living in here and they seem to be quite happy in here, and there's plenty of food for them here, and there's plenty of activity for them. There is also a small group of glow light tetras, Hemigrammus erythrozonus. They're kind of all spread out around the tank, and there's just around like 5 or 6 of them here. You can see here one of the females in here. The other type of fish that I have in here are Corydoras. There are 5 different species of Corydoras, and I will try to lure these Corydoras with some catfish pellets so they'll come out to the front, and I would be able to film them. Yeah, so the catfish pellets have been added, and we'll see soon all the Corydoras coming out to enjoy them because they go nuts for these pellets. Well, cardinal tetras also like them, and other fish seem to enjoy them. So there in the back you can see a group of Corydoras CW28, or so-called Super Schwarzei Corydoras. There's also regular Schwarzei Corydoras, and you can see some Corydoras melanistius in the front and Corydoras elegans. And there is a group of Corydoras grantai, formerly known as Corydoras orcoatus. Yeah, so there's about 20 Corydoras in total, and eventually I plan to keep only Corydoras and maybe also glow light tetras in this tank. So the cardinals will eventually go elsewhere. Yeah, here is a male of Corydoras elegans here in the front. They actually have quite visible pattern on their bodies, and females, which is the fish next to him in here, they have a less obvious pattern, and they're kind of a bit less colorful. None of these Corydoras have bred for me yet, and I know it's quite difficult to breed Corydoras schwarzei or Corydoras grantai. It does take quite a bit of conditioning and also quite a bit of luck in order to get them spawning. And I've had Corydoras CW28 for probably more than I guess 2 years, and they've never spawned. I tried to imitate different conditions: cooler water, warmer water, larger water changes with cooler water, longer periods with warmer water, conditioning them well on live foods and frozen foods and so on and so forth, but they've never spawned. Although I know that I have 2 females and 3 males in here, but they just don't breed for me, and I've never heard of anyone actually breeding Corydoras CW28, so I guess it's a bit difficult to achieve. Yeah, so very nice collection of Corydoras in here, and Corydoras actually work quite well in this sort of setups with lots of moss growing attached to driftwood or attached to lava rock, like the case here, because it keeps sort of the sand free of any rooted plants, which makes it easier for me to siphon the sand and to keep it clean. If I had some plants rooted in substrate, it would be harder for me to siphon the sand and to keep it pristinely clean. Yeah, so most of the Corydoras are now here, and you could see all these different species living in here. They spent much of the day hiding in moss, but now they're all out and about enjoying the food. Right, so I hope you liked this brief review and brief update of this setup, which actually looks quite great, and the camera doesn't do it justice. Happy New Year to all of you, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe, as there will be more videos to come about other tanks in my fish room, as well as about the ongoing build-up of my main display tank. Yeah, I'll see you soon, and Happy New Year!